City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Grover. Alderman Rainey. Alderman Burris. Alderman Fisk. Alderman Braithwaite.
Here.
Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Wilson.
Here.
Alderman Holmes.
Here.
Alderman Tindem. 6-3.
We have a quorum. Welcome to the Monday, November 18th meeting of the Evanston City Council. The first item on the agenda is the Snowplow Painting Awards. This is the woman who is the person who gathered us all here today, Suzette Robinson.
So welcome to the Plow Awards, and these are the pictures of all the plows on all the schools that participated. We take up to 10 schools each year. And this year we had 8 that elected to participate in the contest. And this is not only just a way to beautify our snowplows, it also serves a purpose from a maintenance standpoint. When you paint our plows, you actually prepare a coating on the front end of the plow that allows the snow to actually not stick to the plow and roll off. So there's actually a maintenance function. And so this is fun maintenance for us. And so I think I tell you every year there's usually a contest among the drivers. They always want at least 10 plows painted, and then they always want it to be their plow that's painted so that they get to drive around with a freshly painted plow. And you will see them out on the street. And I have to just share a little bit about, I have several of my employees are here today. 3 of them actually went to Haven, I believe it was, and one of the drivers that drives the truck that has Haven's snowplow on it is also here as well. And so she goes, well, where do you plow? And he says downtown. And I said, and if he's not downtown and you see Haven's plow anyplace else, call me and let me know. So I think he might have just shared a little bit too much information for tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to the mayor, and we're going to start with Betsy Rhodes, if there's anybody here from Betsy Rhodes.
All right.
Okay, so we don't have any. So just handing the certificates for the schools.
All right. We have a huge number of participation certificates, so congratulations on having such a large number of participants, and tell them all they're fabulous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hunter, would you come up? Lincolnwood. Let's go. Lindsay? Everybody here. All right, who do we have? Eliza Wayman.
Here, do you want me to go through?
Yes, I do. That would be great. You got to read out everybody who's here. All right, Hannah Bambick. Hannah, congratulations. Grace Magrisso. Say your last name.
Magrisso.
I was close. Congratulations. Anne Marie. Congratulations, Anne Marie. And Kate Feeney. Congratulations, Kate. Oh, wait, back. Come back here. The photographer is not done with his name.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Nichols School, Maddie Brown. Del Turcotte. Nat, congratulations. And they definitely and their teacher. Congratulations. Thank you. And Dawes School. Who's here from Dawes? Dawes?
Dawes, where are you?
Alderman Rainey's getting upset. All right, Dawes, you will have to explain this to the alderman in the morning. All right, you tell him.
Okay, so every year we have a best theme. We have a theme, and our theme this year is Get Active, Walk, Run, and Play. And the people that select who wins this award are actually the snowplow drivers. So each year they vote, and this year,
Congratulations, St. Athanasius.
snowplow drivers.
Joe, you bet. Get right by the sign.
In the back.
No, but you're part of the school.
Around behind them, in the back.
Right here.
Back row.
Oh, Mrs. Ryder, why don't you come up and get their certificates? And you don't have to read the names.
We're going to hand those to you, but she wants to give them plaque. She's going to give the plaque to somebody. So.
Here you go. Congratulations. Okay. All right, St. Athanasius, do you look behind you and see who chose you?
Plow Ashland Street first, yeah.
Not you, downtown plow.
Are we good? Is Suzette coming or getting a picture? Here.
All right.
Okay. Everybody got it? All right. Congratulations. Congratulations.
So here, thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
Okay, this next category is for the Evanstonian Choice Award. And so how you win that award is you can call into 311 and vote for the plow. You can vote actually online. And this year we had a record number of people vote. We had 2,343 votes for all the plows, which is really, really great. And this year, the plow that came in first place for the Evanstonian Choice Award with 671 votes is Choop Middle School.
Oh, wow, this is hers. Tiara Adams. Yeah, that. Perfect. Tiara, congratulations. Nina Laurent. Nina, congratulations. Jasmine, congratulations. Grace Faye. Okay. Carrington York. Congratulations, Carrington. Brianna Nielsen. Congratulations. Tiana Ellis. Oh, I'll give them to you in a minute. Tyree Harris. Congratulations, Tyree. And Mary Martinez. Congratulations, Mary. All right. The Chute Middle School Award. I believe you get this. The Chute Screaming Eagles. All right, photographer's done. Going once, going twice. Congratulations, Chute.
Okay, last but not least, this is the toughest award of all, and it's only because if the mayor could choose all 8, she would.
And you keep telling me I can't.
Yes.
I'm the mayor.
Next year. So she picks one middle school and one elementary school as the Mayor's Choice Award. So I will leave her to share with you who they are.
The first Mayor's Choice Award goes to Lincoln Elementary School. Congratulations, and have a few certificates. And my award to a middle school goes to Haven Middle School. Congratulations. All right, who else is here? Come on. Gabby. Oh, come on.
Were you in yours, Fred? No.
It's Gabby, right?
Nice.
You got a certificate, too. There you go.
Nice. Nice. I noticed you weren't in yours. Nice job.
Good question. All right, congratulations, everyone. You all did terrific work.
Back to tell you something and you're not going to believe
I
me.
don't believe a thing this man says.
Your mom's awesome.
Well, we'll get to Evanston 150 at some point.
She's the older daughter here.
Um,
Hi, Nick. Diane.
Yeah, that might be.
Hannah, nice to meet you guys.
Yes.
Take care of Mom, all right?
Evanston 150, you're next. We'll be with you in a minute.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the 150th anniversary theme, Volunteer, Celebrate, Engage, and congratulations to everyone involved, organized by Volunteer Evanston in partnership with the City of Evanston, Northwestern University, School District 65, School District 202, and the Evanston Community Foundation. The goal was for the community to log 150,000 hours of service during 2013, and we have done that. I would like to congratulate major contributors, Northwestern University, over 14,000 hours, CARE, over 12,000 hours, Evanston 150, over 10,000 hours, ETHS, 9,500 hours, the Women's Club of Evanston, over 6,500 hours, the Girl Scouts of Greater Chicago and Northwest Indiana, over 6,000 hours. Evanston Library, over 5,000 hours. Interfaith Community Service, 3,500 hours. School District 65, over 2,500 hours. Senior Connections, over 2,000 hours. And I have an award for the Women's Club of Evanston because they put us over the top. So it not only counts to rack up the hours, for which we thank you all, but to be the last one in with your numbers is good work too. So I would like to ask Kathy Rockland and Chris Gretchko to please come up, and I'm going to present this to the Women's Club, and then I want everyone who worked on this to all come up for a group photo, please, and thank you each and every one very much. Okay, come on, everybody. Come on up.
Karen, can we stand behind you? Hello, Karen.
This may work.
Okay, I don't have any announcements that can top that. City Manager, do you have announcements?
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the council, good evening. I'd like to introduce Jennifer Lasik, our new cultural arts coordinator. Jennifer, you could come up. Jennifer comes to us from Kemmerer, Wyoming, where she was the Director of Cultural Arts for the City of Kemmerer. Outstanding career there in Wyoming. Also, prior to that, was a proud resident of the state of Wisconsin and spent a number of years in the Milwaukee area. So, Jennifer, we're very pleased to have you, and you're welcome to say a few words if you like.
Sure. Thank you. Mayor Tisdale and Alderman, I just want to say that I am so extremely pleased and excited to be part of this community. I had the opportunity to do quite a bit of driving around and looking at things before I even came in to interview, and I told the city manager that I actually wasn't nervous at all because I was very, happy at where I was until I saw what an incredible community you have here. And then I got nervous because I thought, I would really like to live and work in that community. So I think you have a wonderful, wonderful place visually and such an engaged citizenship here. And I'm just very pleased to be a part of it and looking forward to making culture and the arts just in the forefront and something that continues to attract people to this beautiful community. So thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
That concludes my announcements.
City Clerk, do you have communications for us?
None, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. Could someone bring me the citizen comment sheets? Because next on the agenda is citizen comment. Thank you very much. No problem. The first four speakers, please come up and give your name and address, are Junad Risky, Debbie Bretag, Dorothy Williams, and Kathy Lyons.
Junad Risky. Once again, we have another poorly written budget memo. The primary purpose, I believe, is to confuse the taxpayers on the real tax increase. All one has to do is look at the budget memo to try to figure out what's going on, and you can't figure out what's going on. We were talking about over a 5% property tax increase with a 10% water bill increase. If you look at the budget memo, you can't figure out what the total property tax increase is. It's a lot of line items, but it doesn't tell you anything. And this, to me, is just really either we don't have people here that know how to write a memo, or we just don't have people that want to not tell us what's going on. Let me go through a few items, though. First item, $300,000 for studies on facilities, and then it's under $636,000 for contingencies. This looks like a slush fund, and frankly, the studies I heard on that trip for capital planning made no sense, and it's not a good use of taxpayer money. Number two, that the capital project for the new kitchen at the fire station, number 2, was a total waste of our dollars. The misuse of township funds, $164,000, is a transfer of money that I believe is unnecessary and shouldn't be used that way. I also noticed 2 firefighters are retiring this week. It's time to start replacing firefighters with some contractors to save us money rather than aldermen sitting here worrying about $100,000 in pension funds adding in. Raising the rate on the 95-gallon yard waste carts will duplicate the problem you had with yard waste stickers. They'll best be turned back in. And finally, one council member keeps on saying that the rest of you never say no. Well, that's not really the problem here. The problem is the city manager is not managing the budget throughout the year. That is, simply things are being added in all the time. Money's quietly not being spent on other things. This is very apparent in the capital programs in the water department. How about telling us how the 10% water increase is going to be used? That is, show us the actual differential there. I don't believe it can be shown because we didn't even get the presentation on the capital. I am wondering how much time this year finally staff will waste trying to tell us that we need to build a new water reservoir for $26 million versus the $4 million that's in the consultant's report. I hope really doesn't continue this year, but it will, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Hi, Mayor, City Council members. Hope you're all well tonight. I'm Debbie Breetag. I'm the Executive Director of Housing Options here in Evanston. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak before you tonight. Housing Options receives money from the Mental Health Board as part of our overall operating budget that allows us to provide comprehensive services to more than 80 individuals in their homes here in Evanston. And I mean literally in their homes, not in an institution. In their homes, in their apartments. Funds from the Mental Health Board directly support our service provision that includes counseling, psychiatric support, group services, employment, and case management support. Last year, we identified the crucial need of providing preventive health care services to our participants. On average, individuals with mental health, persistent mental illnesses die 25 years sooner than the general population. This is due in part to the toll that psychotropic medications take on the body and individuals' fear of going to a healthcare provider because of not being understood or dismissed, a decreased ability to manage self-care, or because of a past trauma. To address this issue, we added a full-time nurse position to our clinical team and sought to raise funds from a variety of sources so as not to be dependent on any one. Our nurse carries a caseload of our highest risk participants who have severe health issues such as diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, and obesity. Individuals with severe mental illnesses not only struggle with good self-care, they also often don't seek out medical care due to past trauma histories or having interacted with a physician who was uneducated about working with someone with a mental illness. Our nurse plays a crucial role in developing self-care strategies and in acting as the bridge to primary care for our participants. Our nurse accompanies participants to the doctor's office and serves as their ally and literally as their translator with a physician. She also serves as the aftercare coordinator once our participant returns home, without which aftercare would be non-existent or haphazard. In one quick example, I'll share with you that our nurse has already extended the lifespan of several of our participants. One participant, Mary, is someone who has a history of paranoia and episodes of mania. She had fallen several years ago and still has severe back pain because of it. Recently, she began to fall and fall and fall. She was taken to the ER, had MRIs, went to doctor after doctor, and had test after test. At one point, the physician made an accusation that she was abusing her morphine that she was taking as her pain medication. The healthcare system, and in the meantime, we took over her morphine management, but she continued to fall.
I do need you to wrap up.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to point out the essential reason of why we asked for the city's support to provide our participants with the health care that they need. And we're not asking for the Mental Health Board or the city to fully fund a position. We're asking for a small slice of that so that we can leverage other resources to be able to provide this service to our participants. In our budget, 90 cents of every dollar that we have goes directly to services. We run as slim can be, 90 cents of every dollar. So we maximize every resource that we get to provide the direct services that we do.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening. I'm Dorothy Williams, Director of Family Focus Evanston. I'd like to thank Mayor Tisdale and the City Council for your continuous support of Family Focus Evanston. Family Focus started helping children by strengthening families when that first parent walked through the door in Evanston 35 years ago. And we begin every day with each new child and every family we meet. Through support from the Mental Health Board, Family Focus Evanston can continue to help children enrolled in our primary prevention program and teen parents overcome those challenges and build futures that with hope and possibility. So we ask that you continue to support our primary prevention program and the teen parents in our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Lyons, and I'm the Executive Director of the Moran Center for Youth Advocacy. I feel like I've been here a lot lately, but I wanted to just say a few things about the support from the Mental Health Board. We receive funding through the Mental Health Board in addition to other forms of support. I thought I might just, you may be aware, but I might start with just a few statistics. 1 out of every 4 people in the United States experiences some form of mental illness. About half of the people in the United States, 46%, will experience mental illness in their lifetime. 1 out of 4 experience some form of mental disorder each year, and about half will experience a mental illness in their lifetime. More than half of children with emotional and behavioral disturbances drop out of school. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in youth ages 10 to 24. Numbers range from 60 to 80 to even 90% of people with mental illness being unemployed. People with mental illness are 3 times more likely to be in the criminal justice system than in hospitals. And in fact, Cook County Jail recently made national news. It is the largest provider of inpatient psychiatric care in the state and the 3rd in the nation, second only to LA County Jail and Rikers Jail in New York City. I think that the need is obvious for support for mental health services. In the state of Illinois, between the years 2009 and 2012, mental health funding has been cut by 30%. So the Mental Health Board in Evanston funds agencies such as the Moran Center and those that you've heard from and many others who address these issues. When you support the Mental Health Board, you support kids staying in school, kids staying out of jails, families being connected to services like jobs, housing, medicine, treatment, after-school programs. The services that you provide through the mental health are the safety net, or I actually have been starting to think of it as the release valve for the people who are most vulnerable and most at risk in Evanston. And without that release valve, people explode, or even perhaps more tragically, they implode. So as a caring and compassionate community, and I think a caring and compassionate council, I simply ask you, I urge you to support the recommendation of the Mental Health Board and continue to think about all of these things when you're trying to balance the complicated budget that is the city's budget. And we recognize it's complicated, but we appreciate this support and we hope that you consider these things as you go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Andrea Dershon and Junad Risky again.
Hi, Andrea Densham, Executive Director of the Child Care Network of Evanston. Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I appreciate the time that you provide us for community comment. I'm here to talk about the Mental Health Board, and I want to thank Kathy for making the point that this is really a community investment. Not only is it an investment in the individual agencies and the work that we all do, but we believe that this is truly about leveraging resources and providing preventative resources and in an investment to ensure that we're not going to be spending them in other ways. So for the early learning space in which I'm responsible for and our agency is engaged in, when we invest the resources that the Mental Health Board and the City of Evanston share with us, it's about linking parents to support services to help them stay employed, to maintain their homes, and to stay engaged and provide the right kind of care and giving for their children. Our Learning Together program pushes in mental health, OT, and other services into child care service providers across the city, which means that each of them do not need to hire their own. That means we're leveraging our resources, doing it in a coordinated fashion, increasing professional development, teaching the parents themselves how to engage in social emotional challenges, and thereby in that 0 to 5 moment, helping to empower the family, the parents, and the agencies to hand over at kindergarten to our District 65 fully engaged and ready to learn children, which means that many of the issues that we're able to address 0 to 5 are not showing up at kindergarten. It's an investment, it's a prevention, and it's a smart use of public resources. The last thing I want to say is that, you know, by engaging and ensuring that our citizens have mental health services early, we do not have the same level of utilization of emergency services. As someone who used to work in the public health space, I can tell you that dollar breakdown does not work out well. The amount of monies that we spend when we have an emergency and our ambulances and our fire trucks show up at someone's homes versus providing high quality mental health services early and ensuring that families have comprehensive services is a good investment. It's a smart investment, and it's a long-term investment for Evanston. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a non-agenda topic. Tonight we had a new position, an arts coordinator, Arts Czar, starting. In honor of another position here that I think really is not using our money wisely, I put together a little painting cartoon collage. It expresses maybe another $100,000 to $80,000 in tax dollars going down the drain, which could have possibly been used better. It appears in a year or two, the Evanston Arts Center may not exist. The Noise Theater plans went nowhere, and the Downtown Arts Center appears a dream. Given the city may not appreciate my artwork, Clerk Green will be holding it in his office for a week or two, so employees or citizens who are interested may see it. Maybe Clerk Green can bring it to Wally's Brown Bag Lunch with the employees and let them generate some discussion. When the weather warms up, I probably will be out painting in downtown Evanston, and maybe I'll take it with me. I think it's important to keep on educating the public how our tax dollars are being used. And since the work really is an honor of this new position, I'll let the new person in charge come to Clerk Green's office and open this, but I will give you a slight preview because I've covered up the painting. So you can all take a look, and it'll be in Clerk Green's office.
Thank you. That concludes citizen comment. City Manager, we have a special order of business, budget presentation.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, good evening. We're here this evening to present to you a revision to the proposed budget that we presented to you back in October. We have listened to the council, have answered questions, and have gone back and sharpened our pencil a little bit, and we believe that the revisions that we're proposing this evening are consistent with the comments that we've heard from the council. So unless there's any initial questions, I'd like to ask Mr. Lyons to come up and walk you through the document that was in your packet.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council, Clerk Green, Manager Bobkowitz, Marty Lyons, Assistant City Manager and Chief Financial Officer. As the City Manager related, we do have a lot of substantial changes from the proposed budget, and as noted in public comment, it is a complicated budget, and we do have a lot of changes to propose, but I think they are based on public comment. So with that being said, I will get us started. So, as noted, our revisions are based on the feedback that we received, public feedback through 11/11. That was our last public meeting, but we've also had feedback via email from council, from a variety of sources. So all of that, we hope, has been captured, and it is up for discussion. The other major section, or rather source of comment, was the strategic planning process, that mainly dealing with issues of debt and long-term capital planning. So you'll see some substantial changes related to that. Not related to this is the fact that we also do need to keep our operations at the level that they are, and that's what this budget does propose. And it recognizes a few of the changes that we made during 2013 in public safety and health. And finally, as I just noted before, we are looking to manage our debt service costs and, based on public input, to minimize any changes to the tax levy. So, at our last presentation, we did show a projected surplus in the general fund for this year of just under $2 million. Since that time, many of you are aware we had a large sale in town. That was a real estate transfer tax sale, over $300,000. We put it in as an additional amount because we don't plan on changing any of our spending patterns for 2013. So it adds to that surplus in the current year. With that, what we're proposing in the 2013 budget, not the 2014, is that we support some of our internal service funds and commit money to debt. So the insurance fund, as you're all aware, when we bring items to the council regarding claims paid, we have a very large deficit in our insurance fund. Again, that deficit is for potential claims payable. The fund does have cash in it, but this is to support that fund. With some claim settlement in the last 18 months, that reserve went down to nearly nothing. So we are looking to bolster that reserve so that we do have enough funds in which to handle claims on a routine basis, month in and month out. The fleet maintenance fund was split up from the equipment replacement fund. So we have vehicles in one fund and vehicle maintenance in another, and that we've held the line on cost increases in the fund, and because of that, we're recommending that that fund then receive a lump sum transfer as we continue to look at reducing our fleet wherever we can. So a one-time transfer of $600,000 will bring that internal service fund to a net zero balance, which is approximately where we want it to run. It doesn't need to have major reserves in an internal service fund. And then finally, as we'll discuss later in this presentation, we're recommending the utilization of $1 million in the, you can't do that, that distracts me, using $1 million to cover debt service costs. This leaves us with an estimated balance of approximately $68,000 in the general fund. And why are we only leaving that amount? The general fund is above its minimum reserve balance now, so we do not need to add anything to it at this point in time. The general fund surplus projection was at $230,000. This revision is just this takes it down to about $170,000 for council discussion and planning. As I just noted, for next year, we could add a slight bit because our expenses are going up, and we want to keep our general fund surplus, a general fund reserve at about the same level, but. There's not a real great, we don't need it to be 170. We could have it a little bit different based on council discussion, but I also feel that that amount or any discussion of general fund reserves is also going to be linked to the strategic planning discussion still going on. Budget discussions, we presented to the council $1.4 million in one-time expenses that had accumulated in the general fund, if you will, from not buying computers, not keeping up with basic operating equipment since the 2008-9 budget when we have had the tough economic times. After the input that we received, those one-time expenses have been flipped to be reduced down to under $500,000, where we will be doing from our one-time revenues a one-time payment of $609,000 also to the debt service fund, and payments to the capital improvements fund. And as noted later, that will be for the facilities and infrastructure studies that have been discussed as a part of strategic planning. Later in the presentation, we're also talking about what will the $636,000 be used. $300,000 for studies, $636,000 for contingency because we haven't identified top priorities per strategic planning. Finally, the library executive director is here, and also a member of the library board. They met and reduced their budget request from a $750,125 increase down to $528,883. And I want to point out that that decrease also includes a $250,000 increase for chargebacks. So the cut was more than just that 220 that you see. It was a larger decrease overall. I just referenced that one. So in the library taking on the chargebacks, this is going to be a swap where the library will assume the necessary tax levy to pay for their chargebacks, which were previously funded in the general fund and could have been paid for out of property taxes as well. So they will send the money to the general fund as an interfund transfer revenue, and they will assume the duty of that levy for $250,000. Another change that is a part of the revisions per previous discussions is the increase of $150,000 in building permit fees. It was listed as an increase of $300,000, and we're proposing that be at $450,000. So I realize that the tax levy is a complicated picture when we're doing a variety of things at once. I just wanted to show the two middle columns is what was proposed and then what is revised. And to call your attention to, I'm not quite sure as it is working great. So we're at 1.25% for a levy increase. And that levy increase is associated with library expenses.
But some of that, excuse me, Marty, but some of that library increase is the switch to the general fund.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but I do want to point out again that the debt service for the library, the general fund, general services, not general fund, and library debt service, we're trying to carve out the amount of debt service that was remaining from the actual public library. So what was their debt? And that's the purpose of this. It is not an increase. And that the library also did receive the benefit. That number was about $840,000 originally as a part of the bond refunding. Some of those bonds were also refunded, so they did get savings from the bond refunding. The second thing I'd call your attention to is the pensions. So as you can see, the pensions, we are now showing this number, 2012, and this number, 2013, to be the same. So there is no change in the tax levy for pensions. Went through that a little quickly. Does anyone have questions on the levy?
Mr. Lyons, that's the entire levy.
That is the entire city levy, including library.
I'm sorry, could you say that one more time, please?
That is the entire city and library levy.
Thank you.
Alderman Burris.
Mr. Bobkowitz, Mr. Lyons.
Yes.
Thank you.
Continuing on.
Sorry, Alderman Rainey.
Well, Alderman Burris stole my thunder, but so I won't say thank you, but I will say that I have never felt this confident about a city budget in many, many years. And I appreciate the work that you've done in the last few weeks.
Alderman Rainey, could you tell?
It's on. It's on. I don't think it's that good.
If you speak into it, it's better.
If you can spin on it,
it's better.
The addition to the debt service, I think, is just really important. And also, there wasn't any fight this year about increasing revenues or decreasing expenses. It's almost as though everybody got it. And I just really appreciate it, really. Good job. Good job.
Thank you. I'll say thank you back. Yeah. The Mental Health Board, this is a service that's been in a state of flux since we started having the joint participation with the township. To make things simple, what we have proposed is to split the increase in half approximately. So what you're looking at is a increase up to $785,715 with the funding as you see at the general fund at $620,765 and the township at $164,950.
Excuse me, Marty. City manager has a comment or question.
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. This is something that I hope that the council will spend some time the first part of next year addressing. The Mental Health Board took applications from organizations, and you heard from several of them this evening, without any additional direction from the council up front. And I think especially with potential changes to the township, I think we do the Mental Health Board a disservice by looking at the dollars at the end of the process versus the beginning of the process. We have been, as Mr. Lyons said, a little bit up and down. I think we are going to be in a position to have this funding be a steady state funding based on the council's direction, and I hope that beginning next year that can be set perhaps in the spring so that we don't have to come down to these discussions at the last moment with the budget. It was my call for the 5%. We're not funding anything, Mr. Lyons, please correct me if I'm wrong, with an increase greater than 5%. On a service or program level. I
would defer to Mr. Gergertz, who was in it up to his elbows during the detail. I thought we had one new program, but I wasn't sure out of all of it. Did that one come off? Okay.
So this would be, with 5%, this would be the largest increase of anything in the City of Evanston budget. Again, it's up to the council to make a determination, but my recommendation to you is the 5% with the largest increase of any single item in the city's budget. Thank you.
Alderman Grover.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With the hope that, with the wish that we could do more. So what was the initial proposal from the Mental Health Board? Was it an increase of 20%, 30% over?
10%, 828.
Just 10% was the proposal. So if we can stick with a 5% increase, I think we're heading in the right direction. After that funding has experienced cuts over the last, 10 years, it seems it's been chipped away at, and so this would be a good improvement in the right direction.
And Alderman Grover, members of the council, I think it's important, again, to, when we look, if the township is dissolved, I think it may make sense to have the Mental Health Board budget be part of that general assistance line item on the property tax. So I think that would be another way to provide some greater stability to this funding as we move forward.
Go ahead, Mr. Lyons.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One of the things that, even though we are still in the middle of the process, I thought it would be helpful in the presentation to also come back to the whole general fund. It's important to note the note on the bottom where you might say, well, it seems like the general fund is going up 3.5%, 4% seems like a lot. A lot of it is one-time revenues, one-time expenses, and we're devoting the one-time revenues to the one-time expenses. So I just want to recap that what you're seeing here is that these were our initial revenue adjustments down to this number, and then that revenue goes over here, and we had another $565,000 in ongoing revenue adjustments that we just talked about, increasing the real estate transfer tax, a little bit of an increase in a couple of other areas that came up to the additional $565,000. Similarly, this was our original proposed expense budget for the general fund, and these are our one-time and ongoing. So we had $600,000 in decreases in ongoing expenses, $100,385,000 in one-time increases, and for the revision, we did add a little bit of ongoing expenses. But the one-time expense adjustments we also added that $609,000 debt service payment. So that's what that 609 is. So increase in revenues, increase in expenses, still have a similar surplus at year end for the general fund. So I'm going to hit a few of the other funds. What we're focusing on tonight, again, is the funds that are being revised per our last discussion. So if I'm not talking about a fund that you would like to address, please bring that up during discussion. I want to point out that the 2013B that the council approved recently, that was a refunding that we did, and prior to that, due to the way that our bonds were structured, we would have had a $2.9 million tax levy increase because we had 2 bond years that were paying interest only, and then we're paying principal right out of the gate, a fairly large principal payment. Those principal payments will continue for the next few years. So part of the structuring of the 2013B was to save a little bit of the savings into 2014. We have not saved a complete amount. If we do nothing else, in the 2014 tax levy for 2015, the debt service payment out of tax levy dollars will go up. But we will also be looking at doing the same kind of analysis, whether or not we can look at one-time revenues to help us through this hump. When I did the strategic planning presentation, you all saw graphically how that was set up. We had a little hump, and then everything trails off. We're in the hump part, so we need to get through that part on our debt service. Specifically, again, what we're looking about in 2014, though, is that we are looking at the following funds be applied to the debt service payment. So just to repeat, $1 million from 2013, $609,000 from 2014, and $1.3 million from the restructuring. And to be very, very clear, this will eliminate the need for a tax levy increase for debt service payments for the 2013 levy paid in 2014. What are the other changes? We removed the $300,000 transfer in the 2013 surplus and put it in 2014. So that was just a straight moving it to a different year. Still feel that that $300,000 for planning purposes is very important for long-term capital planning. The other part, the $636,500 that was still remaining from the general fund for park and facility contingency. We are not normally a contingency budgeting type shop. We identify all of our projects, but in this case, we're right in the middle of strategic planning, so it makes a lot of sense to have this in an account that can be dedicated. Any one of these projects that can be identified during the planning process can then take advantage of that amount of dollars, and it's certainly not limited to park or facilities contingencies. That's for the point of from a point of discussion.
Mr. Lyons, the city manager has another question or comment.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a very important point. I think as we've talked with a number of you concerned about moving forward with capital planning, capital replacement improvements to certain facilities, and primarily those have been some park facilities. The council's process, I think, has been a good one thus far, but I don't believe it's completed. And rather than allocate money to projects outside of that process, we wanted you to have some money available to move forward. We'll probably be back to you in January and February to complete that park planning process, facility planning process, and then you'll have some flexibility if you wish to expend some additional dollars in 2014. There's a number of facilities that have planning money in them, and normally our planning phase is a year-long time. Many of you have identified parks and other facilities that you're concerned about needing additional repairs, and we're in process in talking with many many of you about those, and we want to be able to have money to address those concerns. But since a lot of that's still unresolved and unfinished, we didn't think it was appropriate to allocate any additional dollars beyond what we proposed initially with the capital improvement program. If through the course of the next several months it makes sense for the council to reallocate some of that $636,000 to what would be current year 2014 projects, then great. If not, then that money is available to you for projects in 2015 and beyond. So we recognize that the discussions that we've had, especially on the capital facilities, has ginned up lots of interest, and we're really thankful for that. But at the same time, we want to be mindful that the process is not completed and the full council has not yet completed its prioritization. So I just wanted to amplify a little bit. This is really our response to the concerns that some of you have had about having additional resources for capital in 2014.
And just one other echo on that, we felt that it also didn't need to stay in the general fund, that it would be better served being segregated into the capital fund for that purpose. The solid waste fund, our fund that is still a work in process, and it continues to head in the right direction. This year, the proposed budget had increases in fees to move it along at a little bit faster pace. Hearing your comments regarding the desire to hold down increases where possible, what we're proposing is a $3 increase for the 95-gallon carts and no other changes. The previous change was $4 for the 95, $2 for the 65, doubling the yard waste cart from 25 to 50 a year, and a change in the sticker from $1.75 to $3. What this remaining change is, it's the biggest bang for the buck, and it's also the greenest bang for the buck, in that it will continue to incent folks who really don't need the 95 that might try the 65 with a little more recycling and save themselves some dollars and contribute to Evanston being a greener community. So that's the thought process behind doing the $3 only. It does cut the transfer, or rather the revenues, by a little bit more than half, but it's still a step in the right direction for making the solid waste fund more sustainable. In memos that we have distributed and placed on the website, Director Robinson has also provided some information on how we've been successful in reducing the amount of tonnage going to the landfill. So we have decreased our expenses there over $100,000 just in the last 2 years. So we want to keep going where this change in revenue can have a change in expenses as well. The library fund, we've talked about it again briefly. I don't think I need to amplify that. Those are the same things we've said before. I'm happy to answer questions, or anyone from the library can also take questions. And this is where we're at for the next 3 steps. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Well then, Madam Mayor, we will go ahead and package this all up, and we'll have documents ready for your adoption of the fiscal year 2014 budget on the 25th, and come back to you on the 9th with the tax levies. Perhaps just a word about the township budget. The township budget, there'll be a special township board meeting next week on the 25th for the introduction of the town budget. The Human Services Committee has not had the opportunity to go through it line by line, so we would ask then that would be on the Human Services Committee agenda on December 2nd, and then as long as everything is in place there, we would anticipate then the town budget also having a special town board meeting on December 9th, and having the town budget adopted along with the city budget on December 9th. The other item for November 25th would be the adoption of the ordinance changing the township's fiscal year to a calendar year. So that's the next steps there.
All right, seeing no lights for any questions or discussion, is there a motion to adjourn? Or are we supposed to do, we're supposed to do call of the wards tonight. Alderman Grover, it says it on here. Alderman Rainey.
I'd just like to thank Mother Nature for basically passing us by, and for our staff, especially the forestry department. We could have had a terrible disaster with tree limbs and everything, but we didn't, and I think that's great.
Thank you. Alderman Burris.
Again, thank you to Mr. Bobkowitz, Mr. Lyons, and everyone on the budget team. You did a remarkable job. I really couldn't have asked for much more, and only a few tweaks, and I've decided to be silent on those, which is so unusual for me. So again, thank you very much. I'm extremely impressed on I think you really listened, and thank you also to the library for listening. So thanks a lot. And I want to echo Alderman Rainey's comments. Yesterday I was driving back from St. Louis, sort of in the heart of the storm, back to Chicago, and it was pretty bad. And I'm impressed on how well we've cleaned things up in Evanston. So thank you to all of our workers.
Thank you. Alderman Fisk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Carolyn Delutri has asked that we remind everyone that this Friday, November 22nd, is the Holiday Bash and tree lighting. It begins at 5:30 p.m. in Fountain Square.
Thank you. Alderman Braithwaite.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's actually been a very busy couple of weeks in the second ward, so I'm going to try my best to move through this and acknowledge all the staff that participated across the board. So first, just to acknowledge our mayor this past week. We were at the grand opening for the Erie Health Center, and so congratulations to you. I'd like to also acknowledge Yvonne Thomas-Smith, our Director of Health, as well as Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, Dick Durbin, and our other state officials. It was a wonderful event for those of you that weren't able to attend, and just looking forward to many, many years of good health service with residents who are going to be treated with proper care and dignity and respect. So thank you very much for your efforts. Also, at the ward meeting, I just want to quickly acknowledge staff, Mayor again for being present, Marty Lyons, Assistant City Manager, for his presentation of the budget, as well. Chief Eddington was there, along with Officer Reggie Napier, as well as Satnagar, going over the 2014 capital improvements in our ward. So thank you very much to the staff. And then I just want to quickly acknowledge community partners for affordable housing. This past week, they started their work on one of two houses that council supported through our home funds in our ward. And community partners for affordable housing, they're the Highland Park Land Trust, better known as Highland Park Land Trust. It was really incredible just to see a group of about 25 high school students and representatives from North Shore Community Bank working together on this home that has been boarded up for about 3 years on one of our blocks. So special thank you to them, and I'm looking forward to, I think they're going to be leveraging $1.5 million from the AG's office to continue to do projects across West Evanston, so I can't say enough about that. And then thank you very much, Alderman Fisk. November 22nd, through the efforts of Carolyn Delutri, Ms. Claus will be at the downtown tip of the second ward at Bravo Restaurant in her sleigh. So please come out and see Ms. Claus. Thank you.
Thank you. I've neglected to mention that Alderman Tendam has no report.
Okay.
Alderman Nguyen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have one item. This coming Thursday is the grand opening of the new Walgreens on Chicago Avenue. It's the Net Zero store, the first one in the Walgreens chain. It's a really significant building in terms of its green technology, geothermal, wind, and solar. So I'm sure everyone will be very curious about the building, and please come out. It's at 10 a.m. this coming Thursday, the 21st.
Thank you. Alderman Wilson.
Thank you. And now that we have pavement on Davis Street, Mr. Claus will be at his traditional holiday tent outside of Bennison's. So that's where Mr. Claus will be located in the 4th Ward. And with hot chocolate. Word is that Bennison's has fabulous pastries and other treats as well. Not that I've had many. Thanks to everybody for the city staff, employees, for getting us through the Davis Street project. It's been a long road, but at least now we have a road. So I appreciate the patience of residents, businesses, and everyone who has had to endure that. But I think we've got a nice quality product at the end of the day. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Alderman Holmes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, first, I'd like to say that I missed the grand opening of Emerson Square, but I hear it was great. The mayor did the ribbon cutting, and representatives from our federal and state government was there, and we are so proud of that project. If you haven't had a chance to go by and visit, please do so. Been a little crippled for the last couple of weeks, so I've missed a couple of things. Just also wanted to remind people that this coming Thursday is the regular Fifth Ward meeting at Fleetwood, and we will have the NET team will be there, as well as Mr. Kaniva from the Health Department to talk about vacant buildings. We're really concerned about that, and we're going to be talking about that, and hopefully the mayor will drop by and we'll talk a little bit about cameras as well. And I, too, would like to thank the Mr. Lyons and our city manager and the staff for listening, because I think that this is, since my 9 years on the council, this is the first time that I didn't have any questions, and I really, because they've been answered through the process, and I really do appreciate that. And of course, big thanks to Director Robinson, to Jim, and everyone from the city staff for keeping our city safe. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes citizen comment. Is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.